has there been any books that's really been intriguing and it really like brought out the imagination in your mind while you're reading it? Like you were into it, like, oh, I'm in the world just through reading.
Honestly, not really. What's crazy is if I read, for some reason, I don't know if it's some traumatization from reading too much from school or something, but I don't know. I can't really imagine like that as much. I do, but not as well. But let's say if I listen to an audiobook now, boom, now I can imagine now, you know? Yeah. It's pretty weird. I don't know. I'm not a reader, you know?
When I was in high school, we read, I think it was the autobiography of Malcolm X. That one I was like really into. And I could like visualize everything and just his life. And then after that, there was this other book I forgot. But I also read Can't Hurt Me. I think I'm saying it wrong. Can't Hurt Me Anymore. Oh. The one with David Goggins. When I first read it, like I could visualize and like I was like into it, but I guess when I stopped reading it, I kind of forgot where I left off. So I didn't want to read it all back again. Yeah. So I kind of stopped there, and other than that, any other book I've read, I actually didn't really even read any other books after that.
You know, it's crazy. I bought that book too, and I never touched it once. Wait, actually, now I remember a book that I did most recent, which is probably like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So I bought World War Z because at work if it's day you can read books. This is in college, so I bought World War Z because I love zombies and it's a bunch of short stories. So I could I did see myself kind of imagining that. But what was funny about that was I work at the post office as the window clerk. So I'll take in packages and people pay for sending them. And you get your regulars, man. They come every day for some reason. And then this lady, she comes like every other day. And so she saw me reading World War Z. I'm like, oh yeah, you're reading World War Z? I'm like, yep. And then 2 days later, she came back, and then she made fun of me. You still reading that book? You taking long. I'm like, damn, man, I can't finish this book in a day or two. I need a couple months, dude.
Right. It's crazy how some readers, they could do that, bro. They could sit in and finish it in 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
I think the last book that I read that was really imaginative and visualizing for me was back in high school, a series of unfortunate events. You guys know what that book is, right?
At first I didn't know until the movie came out.
It's about the three orphans, and then they have that crazy adopted dude who they go through hell with him. That one was pretty good. I can imagine it pretty well. And then but to piggyback on that, do you guys also have a favorite book you've ever read, or a book that you've ever read that was really good? For me, it was a book in high school. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name, but I remember I was reading and I was like, yeah, I'm into this. I'm seeing everything happen in my head. And it was a required book to read, and it was really good. And I think it was based in Minnesota too, the story of the book. So it was pretty cool. Do you guys have any books like that too that you're oh, this is a good book that I read?
There was I think there was 2 or 3, because in our high school they always give you I think it's I'm not sure if it's every day or every few days a week, they give you a time slot to actually read books or go to a library to rent out books. I think I had 2 books that I actually finished, but I forgot what they were called though. So that lets you know I probably didn't really care, but I feel I was into it because I actually finished it. Other than that, unless I had to do it for school, I don't think I actually did that. But yeah.
No, I don't have a book. I think literally in my life, if you don't count not counting picture books, I've literally only finished 1 book on my own, dude.
What book was that?
It was weird because it was when I was around 12 or 12, and there's no internet, no nothing, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was internet, but like it's slow, and being a big family, like you gotta take turns with that shit. So there was one day I was bored as hell. My dad has books, and this like this thin book. It's like this, like a small dictionary size, but with like 100 pages. It was about this handicapped guy. So the main character is a handicapped guy. He can't talk or speak. He's in a wheelchair, and it's just about him and what he thinks and how he lived his life. And essentially, his dad, the author, he wrote that in his son's perspective because his son has the handicap condition, and he's just writing the book, thinking about how his son thinks about life. So I read it. It's interesting, I mean, it wasn't a long book, so I finished it in a day, Plus, without much distractions like technology or phones, literally I had nothing else to do, But it was a good book. But other than that, like I have literally never finished a book on my own. Like I'm not gonna lie, like even in college, I have never finished any book for my classes. I'll take like some art class. They'll assign us books to read. Oh yeah, by next week, read 100 pages. We'll come talk and discuss about what you read. I'm like, man, 100 fucking pages. Taking like 4 or 5 classes. Each class makes you read 50 to 100 pages a week, dude. That's a lot of shit to read. So what I just do is I just look up online summary of this chapter. Yeah. And then I go, I'm like anxiety, stress, because I ain't read this shit. All I just do is, I agree with that guy said. Pass my classes in college, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the ones I read by myself, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I read that one. But like not anything, I don't really read anything that's kind of like is it fiction or like fantasy. Because to me, I'd rather watch like a movie about it. Right. But like, so if it's something that's actually like real, like an autobiography, or like something that's actually pretty much based on someone's life, to me, those I'm more into. But I think I only read. Oh, this is one guy. I read. All right, now it's starting to come back to me. So I read the RZA's book. What's it called? I forgot what it's called. And I also read Charlemagne the God's book.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And then there's a few books I read, but other than that, I've been trying to convert to audio books. Yeah. But even that's kind of hard. I think
you got paid about $20 a month.
Yeah. I think that was hard because I only listened to actually one though, because when I think it was for free for me at the moment. I did audiobooks for Jackie Chan's book. That's pretty cool. But then the turnoff was obviously it was someone else's voice reading the book. I did listen to it for a while, but then later on it kind of turned me off because it feels kind of weird from someone else like reading the book of another person's life that's not actually that person. You know? Yeah. So that kind of turned me off.
I think like my question is already answered by what we already said, but I was gonna say like, is there any films that were based off books that made you feel like, oh, I should go read
Lord of the Rings? Yeah.
That made you feel like, oh, I should go read this book because the film was good. And for me, I like Lord of the Rings was that, right? And I remember I opened up Lord of the Rings, I was like, oh hell no. Like all the crazy like names, that like the fantasy names, it was like, dude, I'm not gonna like want to repeat this weird ass name for the next however long this book goes. It's such an inconvenience to repeat this name in my head. Like I remember I tried and I was like, nah, I'm gonna just stick to the movie. But yeah, like has there been any movies for you guys that you feel like, oh, I should try the book? But I kind of feel like we already answered that question with what we've been saying. But yeah,
before I answer, I just remember I did recently finish a book.
Ooh,
what? But it is what Ku says, a self-help book called The 4 Pillars or something like that. But yeah, moving on to your question. Nope, never ever. No movie as good as based on a book has ever made me go, I want to go read the book. Yeah. No, not even comic book based.
I think for me it was Life of Pi. Because in high school, I'd always see Life of Pi in the bookshelf, but I always made fun of it, like, Life of P, Life of P, because I didn't know how to actually pronounce it. I was like, this is Life of P, Life of P,
Yeah.
What the hell? I always made fun of it until like the actual movie came out, and I'm like, oh, this is what the book is about. I always thought it was just like, because it was in the Asian section, right? I always thought it was just an Asian kid growing up in the U.S. And I never really got interested in it until the movie came out, and I thought to myself, like, maybe I should read the book. But then I thought about it, like, no, I already saw the movie. I'm good.
Yeah. And I think a big one is like Harry Potter, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's based off the book, and it's like everybody we've seen the movie has always been, or big fans have said, "Dude, you should read the book," and it's just like, nah.
So, Twilight, right?
Oh,
So-
hey, I actually read
so,
those
Yeah.
too. That's
But-
funny as hell.
So I saw Twilight. Obviously, I didn't like the movie, but at that time, my girlfriend at the time wanted me to read the book.
Mhm.
So I read the first book. I almost read through the whole thing, but so I pretty much read it because I saw the movie, but I was pretty much forced to read it too.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind reading it. It was a little. It was kind of interesting, but I didn't really care too much about the.
Yeah, it's funny because I did what you did, where one of my favorite trilogies is Lord of the Rings, and then randomly at home, cause my dad he collects books.
Yep.
I'll come across Lord of the Rings. Ooh, Lord of the Rings, hell yeah! Open. Damn, I did not understand shit.
right.
Down to the Slytherin, Mount Doom.
Right. Like.
I'm like, damn, I can't get into this jargon, man.
Mhm.
Yo, it's crazy. Don't they say that they actually have like their own language and like the Lord of the Rings?
Yeah,
Sure,
the
I think
elves.
so, yeah.
The
Yeah,
elves.
they actually have
and,
like the language and then like and all that stuff in the book, and like they actually, I guess the book actually like had the language that you had to like read it and shit too, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much for me, man. Screw
Random
that.
fun fact about Lord of the Rings. Yeah, the director Peter Jackson, he read the book and he liked it so much. And he was like, "Dude, it would be cool if somebody made a movie about this book." But then he's like, "You know what? I'm gonna be the one who makes a movie about this book."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
obviously,
hella
he did a
good.
badass job at it. One of the
Yeah.
best trilogies out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how usually for me I would read a book because of a class, and then we'll watch a movie afterwards. But have you guys ever experienced where you guys read a book, don't need to be all of it, but just a bit of it, and then saw the movie afterwards?
Yeah, that's
What was
happened
your
multiple
experience
times.
with that? Like for me, like example, the movie The Giver or the book The Giver.
Mm.
There was a
Read
movie,
it.
right?
Mm.
So I didn't finish this book. I probably read like 1/4 of it. But like, when you read it, it's a really, I don't know if this is the right term, really communist society. I don't know if that's the right term, but it's like when you're born, you'll get to a certain age, you get assigned for a job your whole life, right? So you're the janitor, you're the mechanic for the rest of your life, and then the main character, he got assigned to a job, and then he was like, he spoke to like the giver, and then the giver's like, because there was a theme in the beginning, like there's always something missing, right? And then when you watch the movie, it starts off in black and white, and then once he spoke to the giver, and the giver told him what he was missing, boom, the movie has color now. So I'm like, is that what? Is that what they were missing? Color? I don't know. Yeah, like have you guys experienced anything like that, where like if you read the book beforehand, you didn't really quite understand it or picture something well, but you watch the movie, you're like, oh, that's what it's supposed to be.
I think a book and movie are kind of different too. But yeah, I've read some books, and then I've watched the movies that's based on the book, and the books are always better, because it's more detailed, and then pretty much you have to visualize everything in your head. So you kind of have like that open. You're pretty much visualizing what you read on your head, which you're kind of like a director in that sense. So you could direct the visuals that you want to see when you're reading the book, right? And then since it's really descriptive in the book, it's a lot better. But in the movies, they're showing you what it's supposed to be. So when you're done reading the book and you watch the movie, it kind of, and the movie doesn't go into too much details too, and then they might miss some parts. So that's when I feel like, okay, the books are always better in that case, in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I know like some movies, since they have, obviously the movies have a director, and then the books has obviously the author's different too.
Mm-hmm.
So the director is always going to change something from the book, like, oh, it's not based on how the book didn't go this way, but obviously the movie, the director might want to change it a little, which makes sense because it's kind of like, if it's the exact same thing, I guess it's kind of like, what's the point of even watching it when you can just read the book?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's how you interpret it, right? Like you said, if you're reading it, you're interpreting it in your brain your own way, right? And then when you're watching it, somebody else's film of it, it's the way that director interpreted it. So that's how they visualized it in their mind. So you're seeing what they visualized. So there's that difference there. But to answer Kong's question, yeah. So I read a series of unfortunate events before the movie came out, and I thought the book did a good job of like really helping you visualize, all the events that happen to the children in the movie, or in the book. But I also thought the movie did a decent job too. I mean, yeah, you do always imagine it differently in your head, but then you see how they interpret it, and it's like, oh, okay, they did a decent job of doing that. Yeah, and I think it helps that like I was a Jim Carrey fan, and he played he played the main bad guy, so it's kind of like, hey, Jim Carrey. Yeah.